Good afternoon, good morning to Professor Nicolas de Sadeleer in Belgium, distinguished dignitaries, eminent speakers, faculty members, scholars, participants from across the globe. It is my profound honor and privilege to welcome you to the second day of 2 days international webinar on legal governance of green technologies for sustainable agriculture. This academic collaboration between the Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysore, and the visionary leadership of Professor M.S. Benjamin, JSS Law College, led by Professor K. Suresh and Dr. N. Vani Shree, principal, and the agri-scientist Dr. Vasant Kumar, the Chief Scientific Officer and Managing Director, Greenlife Crop Technology Private Limited, Mysore, reflects our shared commitment to fostering dialogue at the intersection between science, technology, law, and agriculture for the future survival. In today's rapidly world, the sustainability of agriculture is both. It is a legal and scientific pursuit. The challenges of climate change, environmental degradation, and technical transformation compel us to reimagine agriculture not only as academic discourse or activities, but it is a legal and ethical responsibility. Through this 2 days intellectual discourse, we aspire to integrate science to the technology in the coherent visions of the sustainability to achieve justice, progress, and with the ecological harmony. Yes, yesterday we witnessed the remarkable discussion around intellectual property, technology transfer, biotechnology, GMO, farmers' right, traditional knowledge. Those discussions have set the stage for today's exploration of technology, that's a technology solution that empower us to discuss on the preserving ecology. And Dr. Vasant Kumar today will deal with the farmers' rights and agriculture justice. Professor Nicolas de Sadeleer from European Union will discuss on European Union Green Deal and biodiversity strategies. And similarly, we have other scholars to illuminate on blockchain and smart contracts. So we shall begin and proceed with today's program. I am pleased to have Dr. N. Vani Shree, convener of this program and principal of JSS Law College, to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am, you may take the stage and proceed.
Thank you, Kudrat. A very warm good morning and good afternoon to one and all present here, both offline and online. At the outset, I would take immense pleasure in welcoming to the day 2 of the 2-day international webinar on legal governance and green technologies for sustainable agriculture. And specifically, day 2 would be dealing with technological innovations and sustainable practices. Now, I deem it again a great pleasure to invite the eminent scholars and the speakers for the day. Before that, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the chief patrons, Professor Dr. Loknath MK, Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mysuru, Karnataka, India, Madam MK Savita, Registrar, University of Mysuru, the patrons, Professor Dr. M.S. Benjamin, Dean Faculty of Law, Chairman, Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysuru, Professor K. Suresh, Chief Executive, JSS Law College Autonomous, Mysuru, Dr. Vasant Kumar Timkapura, Managing Director and Chief Scientific Officer, Greenlife Croptech Private Limited, Vijayanagar, Mysuru. Now, these were our chief patrons and patrons, without which we couldn't have even thought of or conceived this kind of a program. Now, moving to welcome each one of these eminent scholars. At the outset, I would welcome Professor Dr. Nicolas de Sadeleer, Professor, Ordinaire, Full Professor, Chaire Jean Monnet, European Union, to this webinar. He will be addressing on environmental law, climate policy, and sustainable food systems. A very warm welcome to you, Nicolas, sir. Nextly, I take pleasure in welcoming Dr. Vasant Kumar Timkapura, Managing Director and Chief Scientific Officer, Greenlife Croptech Private Limited, Mysuru. He will be addressing us in his session about the farmers' rights and agricultural justice, science, subsidy, and sustainability in Indian agriculture. Sir, a very warm welcome to have spent your time with us and looking forward for many more programs with this great institution and sir. Nextly, we have Dr. S. Chandra Nayak. He is the professor and officer in charge of ICAR, AICRP Mysuru Center, Pearl Millet Pathology Laboratory, Department of Studies in Applied Botany and Biotechnology, University of Mysore, Manas Gangotri, Mysore. He is a visiting professor at the Global Center for Food, Land and Water Resources, Faculty of Agriculture, Hokkaido University, Japan. And sir will be addressing us this afternoon on governance of biotechnology, GMOs and eco-friendly practices from an agri-science perspective. A very warm welcome to Dr. S. Chandra Nayak, sir. Nextly, Dr. Deepak Gadke. He's an Intuitive Data Solutions Private Limited. He works for this great institution at Hyderabad and will be delivering his address on blockchain and smart contracts in agricultural supply chains. A warm welcome to Dr. Deepak as well. A warm welcome to the coordinators, Syed Kudrat Hashimi and Ms. Sheila Ganesh, who have taken their time out and given their fullest cooperation for the success of this program. A warm welcome to you. Our systems analyst, Mr. Madhukumar, who is with us both the days, helping us out. The student coordinators, of course, last but not the least, the participants from across the globe who are in such large numbers and given us the motivation to do more and more. A very warm welcome to all the participants and whoever have helped us directly and indirectly. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such warm welcome. Now, I take the pleasure to invite Professor Nicolas to talk on European Green Deal and Biodiversity Strategy. Before, sir, we proceed with you, we would like to brief your profile to our audience. Then you may proceed. Yes, and in this regard, I would like to request my colleagues to introduce you to the audience.
It's an honor and a privilege to introduce Professor Nicolas de Sadeleer, a distinguished scholar, jurist, and educator whose work has profoundly influenced the fields of international, European Union, and environmental law. Professor combines both theoretical insights and practical expertise in international environmental law, European Union's institutions, internal market regulations, health and customer protection, comparative law. His professional journey reflects excellence in teaching, research and consultancy, and editorial leadership. He is currently serving as Jean Monnet Chair and Professor of European Union Law at the University of Saint Louis, Brussels since 2005, and as a part-time professor at the University of Catholic de Louvain since 2009. His earlier distinctions include holding the Jean Monnet Chair of European Union Law at Saint Louis University, the Maria Curie Chair on Risk Assessment and Risk Management at the University of Oslo, and the Gaverbell Chair on Chemical Law at the University of Louvain. Professor's teaching and research engagement has taken him around the world. He has been a guest professor at University of Corona, Canberra, Lund, and Bordeaux, France, and at the Pace Law School in New York, and the Asian Institute of Technology. He has been a visiting professor at Wuhan and universities in China, and the Catholic University of Peru and Atomic Career in Benin. His earlier appointments include serving as a professor of law and Marie Curie chairholder at the University of Oslo, lecturer at both the University of St. Louis and the Institute of European Studies, Louvain, postdoctoral research fellow at the Free University, Brussels, and the director of Environmental Law Center at St. Louis in Brussels. Before his academic career, Professor has practiced as a barrister at the Brazil's bar and the military court of Aspen-Neumann. Worked with the Belgian Royal Institute of Natural Science and served as a consultant for the European Commission's Director General for Environment. As an educator, he has taught a broad range of subjects, including the European Union's law, European Union institutions, comparative tort law, international environmental law, and the EU health and customer policies. Professor's influence extends deeply into academic publishing. He serves on the editorial and advisory board of the European Journal of Risk Regulations and Journal for Environmental European Planning and Law, and the Journal of European Union Law. He's an active member of several international expert networks, including Client Earth and the International Council of Environmental Law, contributing to the environmental governance and sustainability worldwide. He serves on the Council of National Disciplinary Council Belgium. From his beginning as a barrister to his current stature as Jean Monnet Chair Professor, Professor Nicolas de Sadeleer exemplifies intellectual brilliance, academic leadership, and lifelong commitment to environmental protection and legal education. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor Nicolas de Sadeleer, a visionary academic, a legal mind, and a true ambassador of environmental and European law. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for this introduction. I'm extremely pleased to be again with you. It's not really the first time I cooperate with Mysore University, thanks to Mr. Syed, and I wish to thank him gratefully for our collaboration. Just in a nutshell, I've been quite active in GMOs 30 years ago. I worked as a consultant for public authorities in transposing an EU directive in Belgian law. And I wrote a number of papers to decipher the web of EU regulation on this topic. I won't encompass this issue today, perhaps for two reasons. First reason is that I have been less active in that field lately. Second reason is that the GM industry has been somewhat unsuccessful in Europe with respect to agriculture. So most of the GM products, mostly soybeans, are being imported from Brazil or from Paraguay or from Uruguay, to some extent from the USA. But this GM feed that's feeding the stocks in Europe is actually not produced in Europe. It's produced in the Americas. So it means that the initial schemes to regulate GM farming activities in the EU, so the first directives were adopted in the 1990s, didn't give rise to a GM agriculture. There are many reasons for that. Reluctance from the national or regional authorities, absence of interest from the farming communities, and perhaps the resistance from the opposition from NGOs. So far, there are somewhat 50,000 hectares of GM corn being produced mostly in Spain and to a smaller extent in Sweden. So given that half of the continent is farmed, these 50,000 hectares amount to a very small piece of the of the farming areas. But that being said, the EU import a lot of GM feed, and these feed are subject to authorizations. These authorizations are preceded by a risk assessment. So the level of scrutiny is somewhat significant, and I think that's perhaps one striking difference with China and Indian agricultural today's patterns, where GM productions is much more significant. When it comes to technology, there are a very significant difference. I can notice that in the Netherlands, the farmers have been implementing artificial intelligence, solar energy, with a view to increasing the farming production and to place on the other member states market the farming products. On the other extreme, if one looks at countries such as Bulgaria or Croatia in the Southeast Europe, the farming communities are too poor. They are elderly populations working on small plots of land, and they cannot afford in investing in new technologies. So it seems to me that the agricultural patterns across Europe are really uneven, with the bigger farmers who have been benefiting from the subsidies from the common agricultural policy, that they do invest into more modern technology, whereas the smaller farmers in mountainous areas on the margin of the EU just continue old-fashioned practices. So the idea of the reform of the common agricultural policy in the EU is to equalize the subsidies, because so far it's mostly the biggest farmers or kind of corporation benefiting the EU subsidies, whereas the smaller farmers don't really take advantage of these policies. And there is also in EU law an issue of social justice, is that the EU subsidies could be supporting all the segments of the agricultures. And that's where the EU is somewhat like India, with significant difference. I know about your country that there's significant difference between the East and the West and the North and the South, between the different states. And the same, one cannot place upon equal footing when it comes to industrial production or to agricultural production, Croatia with Germany or with the Netherlands. So that's an issue. I try to keep abreast with the modification of the common agricultural policies. So it will come to the actual policies from 2023 to 2027 come to an end in 2027. So in less than 2 years. And so the negotiations are already starting to see how to carve out new policies that could achieve a number of objectives, be it food security for the Europeans, be it to cushion the import of cheaper food products from Latin America, from North America, be it also to grant fair subsidies to the 9 million farmers across Europe. So this is a significant challenge, and this policy is a common policy for the 27 member states. And so I'll be ready in a few months from now, when negotiations will be more advanced, to comment upon this. Today, I shall shed light on the willingness of the EU to place the focus upon climate change and enhancing the natural heritage and to improve the functioning of the ecosystems. So I just give you, explain a bit the policy background, and I will explain you the main trends when it comes to forest. Forest activities are quite close to farming activities in Europe. When it comes to agriculture, and when it comes to nature conservation. Nature conservation is also about farming. So the farming issues are straddling all the three pillars I shall comment upon. So somewhat 5 years ago, the EU policy narrative was about strategic autonomy. So you are aware that the EU is dependent to a great extent from the energy imported a few years ago, mostly from Russia, from Norway, from Algeria, and today from USA. And so the volatility of prices and this dependence increases the economic vulnerability of Europe when it comes to GLN gases or to petroleum products. The EU is extremely dependent upon critical minerals, be it beryllium, lithium, rare earths, etc. And these minerals are being produced either in Eastern Congo or in China. And the instability, the geopolitical instability increases the vulnerability of the European Union. And a third issue is that the European continent is the continent on the planet that's warming extremely quickly. So the warming of the continent is twice as much as Western or Eastern Africa, for instance. And so it means that the member states of the EU do face significant challenges when it comes to climate change mitigations and climate change adaptation. And so adaptation measures must be implemented much faster than it was expected a few years ago. So it means a lot of resources will have to be dedicated in a very near future to curb the greenhouse gas emissions, but also to adapt, to adjust the ecosystems against increase of storms, increase of extreme weather patterns. And so that led the EU to come with the following narratives. It's possible to continue to sustain economic growth, but decoupled from resource users. And it makes sense from an economic perspective, as I explained, because we are far too dependent from rare earths, from petroleum products. So it means that the growth must continue to take place in as much as it's decoupled from resource use. So that should lead to a transition. The economy should be decarbonized. So the industrial output should not give rise to further greenhouse gas emissions. But it means that these transitions will be somewhat expensive, be it for the small and medium-sized industries, be it also for the rural communities or the Eastern Europeans, because we are facing kind of imbalance when it comes to incomes. And so, as a result, this transition must be inclusive, but also fair. The transitions is not only a technological transitions, where the fuel-powered cars are being replaced, for instance, by electric cars. So that will be an issue in 2035. But the focus should also be placed on protecting, but also restoring the natural heritage. And I will explain you the importance of natural heritage to cushion the shocks stemming from climate change. And what matters also is the health and the well-being of our citizens, because for young people and elderly people, they could be a threat for the rising of temperature. And so that led 3 years ago the Commission to publish strategies. These are non-binding documents, one on biodiversity, the second on forest, and the third one on farming activities and food consumption. And so I was with colleagues, we had a number of seminars across the continent to discuss these strategies. We had also meetings in Brussels with the European Commission civil servants to really understand the challenges that are at stake, but also the regulatory responses. What can the EU do as a matter of law to strike the right balance when it comes to forest production or farming productions, keeping in mind that we are facing a significant biodiversity loss. So these biodiversities, these different strategies are somewhat maybe in India you would call that a white paper, a paper for reflections, where a number of key ideas are being floated. And usually the strategies are the springboard for further regulatory actions. And so I will explain you some of the regulatory outcome that will lead to further public investments in ecosystem management. So all pictures are mine. So this is an maybe 16th century pastures in the Netherlands, in southern Netherlands, on the peninsula of Walcheren. So this land is below the sea level. It might be 1 or 2 meters below the sea level. So in the 15th centuries, as you're aware, the province of the Netherlands were rather small, and they succeed in taking over the mudflats, in building dikes, and in expanding the pastures on these mudflats. So here we are really dealing with the reconciliation between farming activities and wildlife protections. These geese are wintering in the Netherlands, and they are breeding in New Zambia in northern Siberia. So they've been migrating for somewhat 5,000 kilometers to spend the winter in the Netherlands. When it comes to climate, so the farmers cultivating this land, they obtain subsidies from the Dutch farming authorities, but these subsidies are coming from the EU budget. So they cannot have 1,000 cows on this field. There's a limited amount of cows, and it means that the economic loss is being compensated by eco schemes. These habitats are threats for the fact that the sea level is rising, and we are actually below sea level. So it means that so far in Belgium and in the Netherlands, where we do have a number of these fields called polders, the authorities are working on improving the dike protections to avoid sea flooding on the long term. So it is today's main concern. So the idea, this land is protected, although you have farming activities, so it's perhaps quite different from an Indian national parks aiming at the protection of the leopard or the tiger, where it's full protection. Here, it's the agricultural land are managed with a view to improving water quality, with a view to improving soil quality, but also with a view to conserving wildlife. And so when it comes to protected areas, the EU has been quite successful in building a network called Natura 2000. And the strategy is aiming at increasing this network. I will give you a few illustrations with maps, so to be somewhat a bit down to earth, to increase the coverage of this network up to 30% of the land and 30% of the sea. So the member state, the 27 member states, will have to engage in significant activities in increasing the size of protected land. So far, only 3% of the land is strictly protected, and when it comes to marine areas, it's only 1%. So the efforts are somewhat significant. When it comes to primary forests, so I'm aware that in the Himalayas, but also in the Ghat Mountains in India, you still have huge tracts of old-growth forests that are of ecological significance for your subcontinent. The old-growth forests are rather small. They cover only 3% of the forested land in Europe. But nevertheless, they are the richest ecosystems in Europe. And so the aim is also to improve the protection of this old-growth forest. The idea is also to improve management practice, forest management practice, and to strike a better equilibrium between production and conservation. So forest ecosystems are fragile, and often its farming activities are involved in forest. In forest activities. For instance, my nephew is a farmer, so he has a dairy farm with small production, 35 cows, but he has a few hundred hectares of forest. So in winter, when the cows are in the stable, is cutting the wood. So that's why I do encompass these forest activities, because farmers are to some extent in many parts of Europe involved in forestry practices. So if I look at the Netherlands, which is one of the most European populated country, one of the most industrialized country, the country with the biggest network, highway and railway network. The Netherlands has still a number of national parks, in particular along the coast, but also inland. But huge tracts of land and water bodies that are subject to protection. So the Dutch authorities have been enhancing for somewhat 50 years policies in striking the balance between conserving some tracts of lands for leisure activities, for nature conservation, and the other parts of the lands that are quite subject to industrial activities or to occupational activities. And so, as a matter of course, the islands in the north or the delta in the south cannot be subject to major industrial activities, and they are subject to a greater level of protection. If I look at the map of France, one can see that the protected areas in green and in yellow are mostly located along the mountain chains, be it the Pyrenees in the southwest, be it the Alps in the southeast, or be it the Monts d'Auvergne in the south. And if one looks at mainland France or northeast France, that's subject to more intensive farming activities, there are far less nature sanctuaries or far less national parks. So often the national parks are located in the periphery of the Republic. If you look at the map in the Mediterranean, you have the island of Corsica, which is one of the wildest corners of France. Corsica is part of France, part of the Republic. It's quite mountainous, and if you look at the map, there are extensive protected area because it's more remote, and means that, as you understand, often in these protected areas, there are farming activities like goat, sheep production, but there are extensive farming activities that are being supported by specific EU funds. That's a map of southern Belgium. It's the Walloon regions, French-speaking regions, and which has huge tracts of forest. So most of the forest areas are subject to this Natura 2000 network. They are subject to protections, although again, it's not absolute protections. Economic activities, farming activities, forest activities can take place. Again, this is mostly the marginal areas that are subject to protection. If you look at the center of the map, or in northern Wallonia, where you have extremely rich soil, these areas are subject to very intense farming, and so there has been no place for protection. So the aim is to also restore the land, and the EU has been adopted under the Belgian presidency of the EU in 2024, June 2024, a regulation about nature restoration. So the aim of this regulation is binding. It's binding the 27 member states. So the member states will have to work on programming restoration. And it's restoration of forest, of agricultural land, of dunes, of marshlands, and so on and so forth. And so this is really the first binding instruments today on the planet, aiming specifically at improving ecosystem, because ecosystems have been overexploited, in particular marshlands, but also agricultural land. And so scientists reach a conclusion that we must stop the overproductions with the aim of restoring the quality of the land to continue to produce on the long term. When it comes to farming, the biodiversity is aimed at keeping 10% of agricultural area in high diversity landscape features. And as I explained, the situation is really uneven, not far from Brussels. There are huge tracts of land that are really subject to very intensive agricultures where there are no hedges, no trees. And as a result, the land is getting eroded when there are very heavy rains and subject also to wind erosions. So the idea, and that has been integrated to some extent in the common agricultural policies, to keep some part of the agricultural land as landscape features to avoid erosions. Organic farming has been really supported under the Common Agricultural Policy, and the strategy was aiming at achieving 25%. I don't know what's actually the figure, but perhaps today it's 18% of the agricultural land that's subject to organic farming. But again, the figures are very uneven. Organic farming can be quite advanced in some countries and far less advanced in other countries. When it comes to chemical pesticides, Belgium and France are the countries where the farmers are using to a great extent chemical pesticides, much more than the American farmers, proportionally speaking. And the aim was to reduce by 50% the use of these chemical pesticides. So chemical pesticides are subject to very stringent regulation when it comes to the placing on the market, but there is the issue of placing on market upstream, but downstream there is the issue of how the farmers are spreading the chemicals. And so scientists agree, and also the Commission at that time agreed upon reducing the use of chemicals. When it comes to forest, this map highlights the importance of forest habitats in Europe. So, for instance, if you look at Finland and Sweden in Northern Europe, nearly 2/3 or 75% of the land is covered by forest. So, forest production is an important economic issues in rural areas, but also every countries except the Netherlands, except Ireland. Ireland has hardly no forest, but the other countries do regulate forest activities. For forests are primary resources, they deliver ecosystemic services, they play a key role when it comes to biodiversity, but when it comes to COVID-19, we saw that in very industrialized areas of the continent, forests played a key role when it came to health and well-being issues. So European forests, and that's a paradox, are increasing. So the cover of the forest is increasing because small farmers in the peripheral areas are abandoning the farm because it's too costly to farm. They are not replaced by younger farmers. And my nephew is somewhat a bit the exception. So in his communities, among the young ones, wanting to continue centuries-old farming practice, whereas the other young guys, they want to work in the cities to have employees' jobs from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., you know. And so forests are in Europe subject to increasing strain from production, from human activities, but also from climate changes. And I would like to stress that this year, 2025, has been a real nightmare for forest managers in Europe. In October 2025, we faced a loss of 1 million hectares across the continent. And most of the loss occurred in Greece, in Croatia, in Spain and Portugal. So the countries of the Mediterranean belt are really subject to a sharp increase of summer temperatures and very dry springs. And it means that the forests are somewhat akin to a matchbox. And when it takes fire, it's lasting months and months. And it means that all the rural communities living close to this forest are actually subject to an increased pressure. So one understands that to fight climate change, forests are indispensable, and proper forest management could play a key role. So it means that diversified forests are subjects much more resilient against fire, against the increase of temperatures than monoculture. So unfortunately, I didn't have the time. I've been lecturing extensively, and I gave a conference yesterday. I would like to provide you some of my other pictures on forest monocultures. So forest monocultures are really subject to an increased pressure. So, for instance, my grandfather, he had huge tracts of forest in southern Belgium. It was mostly pine trees. Pine trees are not native tree in Belgium. And now my cousins who inherited from the land, they tried to diversify the plantations to make the forest more resilient. So this is a report of the Court of Auditors in Luxembourg, explaining to the EU institution that they've to strengthen the fight against illegal logging, that they have to develop proper measures to enhance biodiversity. And as I explained, the Common Agricultural Policy is also covering forestry. So agricultural policy in Europe is also forest production and forest conservation. So the forest strategy is, in a nutshell, it's a fairly long document. There is a lot of ideas, but biodiversity should play a role in forest management, and forest should contribute in reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. So forests are there to store the greenhouse gases. Although we are achieving major efforts in diminishing the greenhouse gases emitted by the transport activities, by the industries, nevertheless, in 2040, there will still be too many greenhouse gases being emitted by our undertakings. And then the forest should play a role, agriculture also should play a role in storing not the methane, but in particular CO2. And so the idea, and maybe this strategy could be of interest to the forest department of your country, is really to ensure resilient but also multifunctional forests. So forest is not only for production, forests are there also to play a key social role, and that's the case in the Netherlands, a very populated country. In Flanders also, here next door, it's extremely populated, so people need a bit of leisure time, and they need to have access to public forest. So you understand that there are all these different socio-economic functions. So there is not one function prevailing over the other ones. The idea is to have a cross-fertilization between the different functions. So this is some pictures I took of a forest in not far away from Brussels. So the aim is also in planting 3 billion additional trees and native trees. So it's not exotic species such as eucalyptus. And then we have these binding instruments for ecological restoration. And a last strategy is farm to fork, an extremely ambitious strategy. And the idea is not to tackle agriculture per se, but it's also to tackle the ways in which European consumers will eat, their consumption pattern. So as you're aware, there is a trend toward eating more and more processed foods. So there is a debate regarding the health of our citizens. Often it's the poorest, the poorest citizens that are purchasing processed foods, which are not very healthy diets. And it means that what's really smart about this strategy is that it's an all-encompassing strategy. It's just not designed for agriculture. Agriculture should be subject to transformation with the aim of providing better foods for our consumers. And in providing better foods, we can expect health benefits. And in expecting health benefits, it will lower down the pressure on our social security system. So it can be a win-win situation, so to speak. The strategy realized that agriculture can have positive environmental impact. It can reverse the loss of biodiversity, but it can also play a key role in ensuring food security. And food security has really became an issue since the invasion of Crimea by the Russian troops in February 2022. And so the idea is really to work on the transitions with a view to supporting sustainable food systems. And so the idea, and this is really of importance because that's subject also to the implementation of this common agricultural policy at regional level, is to reduce the use of chemicals, which is far too significant by 50%, is to reduce the use of fertilizers because fertilizers contribute to the pollutions of water bodies, be it underground water bodies or be it surface water bodies. But it's also to reduce the sales of antimicrobials in farming and aquaculture by 2030. But of course, we do import a lot of food. So the new free trade agreements we are concluding with Canada and with Mercosur will increase the number of quotas, in particular beef quotas. So it will place more pressure on our farming activities. So, of course, there are a number of economic considerations. But the questions here, I explain you the visions endorsed by the European Commission in these three strategies. That vision has been endorsed 2 years ago by the Council of the 27 Ministers, by the European Parliament. The key question for the lawyers is how to implement. So you have policy documents, but from a legal point of view, is to flesh out into a proper regulation. And so far, it seems to me that the only key legal instrument that has been adopted has been this nature restoration regulation that will play a key role in restoring forest, marshlands, old farming practices. But the common agricultural policies is subject to a lot of pressure, in particular from the main intensive farming associations that do dislike this climate change and these environmental measures because it's limiting their production. And there is somewhat a paradox because the farming communities are divided. The small farmers that do cultivate marginalized lands are more likely to benefit from the eco schemes, from these subsidies dedicated to nature protection than the main farmers. And so it really comes to economics. It's how to conceive the budgets, how to conceive the subsidies in supporting the farmers that do play a considerable role in fighting climate change, in storing CO2 in their land, in managing better their forests, than big farmers in a globalized economy. And so the latest report on the glaciers in Switzerland are daunting. They are mentioning ecological collapse. So this is a picture from Iceland. It's an island in northeast, but I have other pictures of Swiss glaciers. So the glaciers are melting, like it's the case in northwest India. And so the question is whether Europe, in this globalized economy, facing all the pressure from the Chinese industrial overcapacity, or the Chinese control of rare earth and the tariff war triggered by Mr. Donald Trump, whether we will be able to succeed in fostering, in carving out a kind of smart policies, keeping the jobs at home, keeping production at home, but in mitigating also the consequence of the climate change. And that's really a significant challenge. I'm working 7 days a week on these issues, and it's somewhat daunting. And I want to have for my grandchildren a new dawn and not an ecological collapse, as one can imagine. Thank you very much indeed for your interest.
Thank you so much, Professor de Sadeleer, for brilliant and globally and Euro-relevant perspective. We are really privileged to have you with us. Thank you so much once again. Now, I am honored to invite our distinguished agri-scientist, Dr. Vasant Kumar Tima Kapura, who will address us on the farmers' rights and agriculture justice. So, before we proceed with you, we would like to brief you to our audience. And I would like to request my colleague to introduce you to the audience. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. It's my proud privilege to introduce Dr. Vasant Kumar Tima Kapura, an eminent agricultural scientist, researcher, teacher, social worker, and science communicator. A man whose work has touched thousands of farmers across India and inspired generations of students. Sir is a founder of Agriculture Consultancy, Research and Extension Services and Krishi Jnana Vijnana Vedika in Mysuru. He holds a PhD in plant pathology from University of Mysuru, where his pioneering thesis on seed-borne fungal disease of maize in Karnataka opened new research pathways. He earlier completed his MPhil in seed pathology, MS in botany, BS in botany and zoology, all from the same university where he served as a subject scholar in zoology. Professionally, Sir's career spans academia, industry, and government. He began as an assistant professor in the Department of Applied Botany, University of Mysuru, mentoring several MPhil students. He then joined to the seed industry as a research plant pathology at pioneering Overseas Corporation and later as a senior scientist, pathology and melon breeding at Sunseeds India Private Limited. He also served as an export-import manager during that period. His advisory role include technical advisor to the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of Karnataka, as well as consulting assignment with the Biodiversity Genetics India, Safal Project, BASF India, and Reliance Industries. Sure, sir. Sir is inventor of two remarkable plant-based innovations, Python tea and organic tonic formulated from seaweed extract that enhances crop yields and quality by improving root masses, leaf growth, and Power Plus, a plant-based extract organic formulation. We extend to...
Now kiss that mouse.
Please join me in welcoming Dr. Vasant Kumar Timakapura, a true friend of farmers, a pioneering scientist, and a shining example of service through knowledge.
Thank you very much.
Don't touch it. Pooja. Stop engineering.
Good morning, some participants, and good afternoon to rest of the participants. First of all, let me thank the University of Mysore, its Vice Chancellor and Registrar, and the authority of JSS Law College, Dr. Suresh and Dr. Vani Shree Madam, Principal, and also Dr. Sheila Ganesh. And I am especially thankful to Dr. Syed Kudrat because he is the one who is responsible to bring me here. And I have been very happy to be one of the sponsors or organizers of this great event. And it's an international event and it's going on very well. Yesterday also it was a wonderful deliberations. And today also we just listened to Dr. Nicolas de Sadeleer. So it was a very insightful talk. We came to know about many things about the environmental challenges in Europe and agricultural challenges in Europe. And now I am a farmer's son. I am a person who is working for farmers' welfare. And I am happy to talk about farmers' rights and agricultural justice, science, subsidy, and sustainability in Indian agriculture. Everything I will be talking in the context of India. So Europeans and other country people should not feel bad about it. I am thankful to your good name? Janvi for introducing me very nicely. I'm going. Mouse I could be. This remote mouse is there.
Give him the mouse.
Next.
No, it's not working.
Okay, is it fine? Can we change from there?
No, but I should have the control. I should
Give
have the
that mouse. Give that mouse.
No, you going forward. No, please let me come there.
Ask Madhu Kumar to come.
It's asked Madhu.
So much effort, so we are making research. So much effort.
Oh, yes, it was properly introduced. I am a person who works both in the laboratory and in the field. I always love to work with the farmers.
Sir.
And to begin with, okay. The COVID-19 has two important things to everyone in the world that is the most microscopic, ultra microscopic unit could shake the whole world. And it was a big challenge to the humanity, and somehow we have solved that problem. It also brought to another thing that we can live without anything during lockdowns, but not without food. So food is the most first and the most basic need. And nowadays we talk about software, hardware everywhere, but we all know that without food we are nowhere. So food is not just a thing to eat, but for a nation, food can be a weapon. Food is strength, food is peace, food is freedom, and food is sovereignty. Only when food suffices, the peace will prevail. So, but this food is not produced in factories, but they are produced in farms and they are produced by farmers. So, no farmer means no food and no future. So, our first Prime Minister told, knowing the importance of agriculture, he said that anything can stop, but not agriculture. Our second Prime Minister, knowing the importance of border security, and he said Jai Jawan, and also he said that food security is equally important, so it called Jai Jawan and Jai Kisan. And our third Prime Minister, the first woman Prime Minister of India, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, brought in the Green Revolution because she had to go with a begging bowl to other countries for food to feed our nation, and especially to United States of America. But during that time, the Green Revolution happened in Mexico, and it was spreading to other countries. So the Dr. Norman Borlaug is the father of Green Revolution. So he was responsible for bringing in the Green Revolution, and the food started flowing from everywhere. So the genetics was the main factor for Green Revolution, and then the nutrition through chemical fertilizers and irrigation facilities were created to produce more food to feed the nation. And there was quantum leap after the Green Revolution, and our food production was increased many times, and we became a self-sufficient country because of this Green Revolution. And from 50 million metric tons in 1960s, we have reached more than 330 million metric tons. And the GDP is up to 20% we have achieved through agriculture. And we have, from ship to mouth situation, we have reached the self-sufficiency. So now, it is not just the Green Revolution. We can say that now we have been able to achieve the rainbow revolution, because here you can see all the colors of the rainbow. And not only in the supermarkets, even on the streets in India, you can see the multiple colors of fruits and vegetables, not only the food grains and oil seeds, but also in horticultural crops like fruits and vegetables. We have achieved very high production. And because of this, our government was capable of bringing in food security bill and the right to food. So from food scarcity, we have reached the food security stage. And India is the second largest producer of many crops like rice, wheat, groundnut, etc., which gives around 58% of livelihood to Indians. But what is happening when the farmer is toiling hard in the field to feed more than 140 million people in the country, he is in deep distress. So the IB report says that farmer suicides are rising every year, and there is no way we can reduce it. So when you analyze the reasons for this kind of dismal situation, so academically we can quote many 7 to 8 reasons for the dismal situation, like weather vagaries, biotic and abiotic stresses, increased cost of cultivation, diversion of loan amount, volatile prices, middlemen, money lenders, etc., etc. But as a field worker, I have noticed that there is one more important but highly ignored fact is that farmers lack knowledge of scientific cultivation and lack of financial literacy. So modern farming is knowledge intensive and investment intensive. So when he doesn't get this kind of literacy, it is resulting in a reduced productivity, diminished profitability, and lowest repaying capacity, leading to default and debts. So he is getting into the vicious cycle of loan or debt. So our production wise, we are very fine, but the productivity wise, we are much less than world average. So we are nowhere near to US and China. So that is where we should focus on. So how we should increase the productivity so that we can reduce the cost of production and increase the profit to the farmer. So our country being number one in population, we have bigger challenges compared to other countries because we have the challenge of producing more from less. It means we have to produce not just food, but it should be nutritious and it should be safe also, from less land, less water, less labor, less chemicals, and less cost. That is the kind of challenge we are facing now. Then how to increase the food? When you think of increasing the food, you first increasing the land area. But that is ruled out because we have already reached that plateau, and increase in land area is ruled out. Actually, we are actually encroaching into agricultural land to build our cities, industries, roads, colleges, etc., etc. And to increase the yield, there is not much possibility because that we have already reached the plateau in genetics, and increase the yield because there is no dramatic increase is possible by traditional breeding. And now another option is to reduce losses due to biotic and abiotic stresses, and also how we can harness the power of physiology by giving proper nutrition and other biostimulants which are in a recent program. So as you know that pests are eating away nearly 35% of the total crop yield as per the ICR report. And the main pests are weeds, diseases, insects, rodents, birds, and others. So this is despite the use of pesticides worth $70 billion annually. So we need to have many plant health diagnostic labs or plant clinics, or you can call it them as crop clinics, but we don't have money in the country. But the real doctors to our farmers are the pesticide and seed and fertilizer dealers, and they have only business interest not to serve the community, and they also lack the proper scientific knowledge, which is not sufficient to train the farmers or educate the farmers. So the missing farmers' right is actually right to scientific agriculture knowledge, like right to food, right to education. So right to scientific agricultural knowledge is missing in our country. So the problem, the price demands without knowledge. The farmers are fighting for different, like for scientific pricing, say MSP, then loan waivers and subsidies, crop loss compensation and all. They are focusing only on mainly these points, but they ignore the root cause, that is lack of scientific cultivation knowledge. So I want to show you, because I am not going to speak to you about the theory or the concept of it. I am going to show you what we have done from Greenlife Croptech and how we have brought in the revolutionary changes in the lives of the farmers. So the technology and training turned a failed village into a floral economy. So we selected a village just next to the backwater of KRS, which is a very dry village. You can see the fields there, very dry and empty fields. And we selected this village because the farm. Resource, land resource, water resource. They were leading a very minimum life and with minimum income. And you can see the situation, how primitive methods they were following before our intervention there. We'll move up. So you can. No problem. So you can clearly see here how primitive methods they were following. And the soils were sick, and the only monocrop they were growing was chrysanthemum. Because of the monocropping year on year, the soil had become sick and the plants were dying soon after the plantation. And they were getting very minimum yield because they didn't know what kind of fertilizers to put, how much to put, when to put, where to put, and all that. So even though there is enough water in these fields, you can see how poor yield here is. And they were also facing with the problem with many insects and diseases. I will show you the different kinds of problems, biotic and abiotic stresses they were facing. Yeah. So these are the different kinds of diseases after the insects. And one more thing is that two kinds of diseases are very difficult to control. One is soil-borne root diseases. Another is viral and phytoplasma diseases. So, and there is no control anywhere in the world for virus diseases. And also there is no practical control measures for root rot diseases also. So we in Greenlife Croptech, we have come out with a wonderful formulations to control both these important diseases. And because we included these practices into their package, and they were out of desperation, they were spraying all kinds of pesticides and polluting their soil, air, water everywhere, and increasing their cost of production. And this used to be the weekly harvest for household, and that's all. Their income was not more than 40 to 50,000 rupees per annum. And then we entered, and that was the beginning of a new era. And we met with the farmer leaders, farmers, everyone, and we convinced them that we have come to serve them with our knowledge and tools. And they agreed. And we identified a boy from that village as our local crop doctor. And we trained him in our village, laboratory, and sent him back to his village. And we paid him salary. And we introduced all the modern and eco-friendly methodologies to reduce the pesticides. And we taught them how to give the fertilizers. We also effectively controlled the virus diseases. You can see here, the virus diseases are controlled. And we frequently held the training programs both on the field, and we also brought them to our laboratory and taught them how to learn the agriculture scientifically. Next. Yeah. Now you can see hardly there were 10 to 15 flowers per plant. Here you can count the stars, but you can't count the flowers here. So that is the potential of our soils or varieties, but we were unable to harness that yield, kind of yield. You can see how much change has happened. There is no mortality of any plant. So every plant has, vigorous and giving a best yield. And you can see there is no disease at all. And we have ably controlled. And see, 3 generations are involved in this, mother, son, and grandson, bringing in the 3rd generation. And we have reversed the migration of youths to the cities. They have come back and they are happily cultivating their fields, and they are employing 10 to 15 people to harvest the flowers. And we have generated so much of employment, and mostly for women. And even the age-old women can earn their pocket money sitting at home, tying the strands like. So generated additional employment opportunities for women, empowerment. And you can see how much production. Earlier, this was the best yield, and now you can see the yield now. So we brought the smiles on every farmer's family there, and they are leading a very comfortable life. You can see the pictures now, earlier picture. So the dry fields around the village and only old houses. Now you can see all new houses are coming up because of the economy increase, the betterment of their economic status. So the Dinka Shetali looked like this in 2011, and 2025, there is so much increase in greenery, and also the number of houses you can see. So this is, and see, if you get into the village, you can see how the houses are being changed. The old house, the new house, and gradually the broken house. And see, also look at this new houses. So this is the proof of the economic development in that village. The earlier houses and the present houses, all architect built houses, and better education and healthcare because of the increase in their income. So this has become a national news, and many newspapers published about this, and not only in that, but in also YouTube channels, this revolution story has appeared. So we brought in economic benefit, employment benefit, environmental benefit, and emotional benefit, and also most importantly, the empowerment, 5E benefits. So the farmers have to recognize the right to scientific agricultural knowledge as a farmer's right. So the farmers themselves have not identified that they need this. So because of this, continuous access to scientific guidance, soil and nutrient literacy, diagnostic skills for diseases, pests and deficiencies, integrated pest management and eco-friendly protection methods, market awareness and post-harvest knowledge. So all these aspects have to be given to, that knowledge has to be given to the farming community. That is a mandate for any government. So about this conclusion, is not the end of my talk, sorry. About this project I am telling, scientific pricing is meaningless without scientific farming. Farmers are asking for scientific pricing. Unless you grow the crop scientifically, there is no meaning for that. So what I mean to say is they should ask for scientific knowledge first from the government or any other organization. So effective agriculture extension system is the backbone of scientific farming. The core objective is to deliver the right knowledge at the right time for sustainable productivity and profitability. Key pillars are scientific knowledge, soil, nutrition, pest and disease management. So this is what we do. We always go to the fields. So Dr. Harish is with me, and we always go to farmers' fields. We adopt the villages, we educate them, and bring in this kind of revolutionary changes. So then the continuous advisory is important. Every time farmers, anywhere in time he wants some advice, the advice should be available to him. And outcome is empowered farmer, sustainable farming, and food security. That is what most important for our country like India, where the population is very high, and no other country can feed us. If there is food shortage in India, no other country will be able to feed us. So actually, India has got the power to feed the whole world. So that we should recognize. And fertilizer subsidies has created a lot of problems. Why farmers? The soil is degrading and the yields are coming down, productivity is very low. It is because of the policy matters also, policy-driven nutrient imbalance. India's subsidy structure has unintentionally, it was not intentional, but unintentionally distorted farmers' behavior. When urea is extremely cheap and potassic phosphatic fertilizers are costly, farmers naturally choose more nitrogen and less potassium or phosphorus because they are expensive. So there are many articles that is imbalance in fertilizer use. If you look at that urea, 50% of the total fertilizer is urea only, and hardly there is 9% is potash. And see, DAP is also 19%, whereas potash is very minimum, because you can see here in 2025 the subsidy given to per kg of urea is 43 rupees. And phosphorus is 43 rupees 60 paisa, whereas for potash it is only 2 rupees 38 paisa. Because of this, because urea is cheap, the farmers use more of nitrogen fertilizers. Because of that, what happens? See, this has created excessive vegetative growth. Crops look lush but are weak internally. Higher vulnerability to pests and diseases, more pesticide use. Yield instability leads to, especially under stress, drought, salinity, and diseases. Declining soil health, soil organic carbon depletion, nutrition mining. Environmental damage due to nitrate leaching and water pollution. Economic loss due to farmers spend more later on disease and pest control. In short, India has moved from under fertilization to misfertilization. So balanced fertilization is not a choice, it's a scientific necessity. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium have complementary roles. Nitrogen is for growth, phosphorus for energy and roots, potassium for immunity, stress tolerance, and quality of produce. See, all these are required for our body also, humans also. So we get all this nutrition from plants. And if the plants are deficient in these nutrients, naturally we also get less of nutrition. So ignoring any one of these is like feeding our child with only rice without vegetables and proteins. Growth happens, but immunity collapses. This is what is happening for our crops. So why the policy must change? The current system rewards excess and penalizes balance. To correct this, subsidize must shift from products to nutrient-based equity, encourage site-specific nutrient management, promote soil testing and micronutrient inclusion, support organic carbon building practices like compost, cover crops, biostimulants, etc. And farmers should be empowered with knowledge, not just cheaper inputs. So this is the kind of policy changes we have to make. Larger impact because of this will be fixing this will not only improve productivity but also reduce chemical pesticide dependence, improve farmer profitability, enhance national food and nutrition security, restore degraded soils and ecosystems. And this is one of the simplest reforms that can create largest ecological and economic impact. Conclusion about this is, if we correct the policy, farmers will correct the soil. When soil is balanced, agriculture becomes sustainable. Fertilizers are not the enemy, ignorance and policy distortion are. So another reason why farmers are using more of urea, because earlier there used to be joint families in villages and there used to be a lot of labor availability. And because the divided families and nuclear families, farmers are not able to maintain cattle. So cattle means cattle for animal power, for flowing and other purposes, and also for milk purpose and for manure purpose they were using the cattle. When they stopped maintaining the cattle, then what happened? Because without cattle, they can use the tractor for plowing, and there are dairies, milk is available, and for manure use one bag of urea, it is enough. So why to maintain the cattle for manure purpose? Because of this, there is no organic manure, usage of organic manure, and only usage of a particular chemical. So this has led to the degradation of soils, and the microbial activity in the soil has gone. Fertility has gone, water holding capacity has gone. Because of these reasons, the productivity of the soils has come down, fertility has come down. And because of this, cost of production is increasing, the income profitability is coming down. Because of these reasons, the villages have become old age homes because all the youths are moving to the cities to look for menial jobs, and because nobody is giving the girls to these boys also. This is another social problem created because the agriculture is no more profitable. So there is no respect for a farmer. So we have to bring back this situation back to agriculture, farmers' security and farmers' dignity. So organic carbon recycling, what is happening now is that all the organic from the soil, from the manure, organic manure, we are producing the crop and all the crop is coming to the cities. And it is being also wasted as food waste. If you go to the Devaraja market and all, or RMC market, you can see how much the fruit and vegetables are being wasted every day. So that is nothing but organic carbon which has come from the village. Unless it is recycled back to the village, then maintaining the organic carbon content in the soil will be a problem. The cycle is broken. See, it is going from one side. Now it is going to the city. All the nutrients from the soil are going to the cities, but it is not coming back. So what happens? Organic matter declines. Soil becomes infertile, compacted, and drought prone. Cities, massive food and vegetable waste. It causes pollution, methane emission, landfill overload. Farmers, they depend more on chemical fertilizers. Cost is increasing, soil biology is decreasing, nutrient imbalance is also increasing. This is the result. So India loses more than 25 to 30% of all fruits and vegetables post-harvest, after the harvest, almost all of which ends up in cities as garbage, not as compost. Organic carbon flows from rural to urban regions, but there is no return flow. This is equivalent to exporting soil fertility and importing pollution. So the same thing I have mentioned here. So why government must intervene? Private players cannot solve this alone. Infrastructure and logistics are required. If urea can be subsidized, why not compost, which builds soil health? So policy support is needed for urban organic waste segregation at source, decentralized composting and biodigester systems, subsidized transport and reverse logistics back to villages, certification and quality standards for city compost, incentives for farmers to use compost and biofertilizers. Suggested government program name can be, they can have this name like Urban to Rural Nutrient Recycling Mission, URNRM, or Bhumi Raksha Mission, Returning Carbon to Soil. This is my suggestion to the government. This aligns perfectly with already existing National Soil Health Policy, Swachh Bharat Mission 2, Circular Economy Initiatives, and Climate Resilience Goals. So benefits of returning organic matter to soil, you can see here, reduce fertilizer dependency, and waste is reduced at source, higher yields, lower input cost, cleaner surroundings, disease and pest suppression, less landfill burden, climate resilience, and reduced methane emissions in cities. So everyone is benefited. Soil is benefited, farmer is benefited, and cities are benefited, and overall the nation is benefited. A vision for implementation is urban municipalities partner with farmer groups and FPOs, compost hubs near city outskirts, nutrient credits for cities based on compost sent back to villages, integration with soil testing and extension services. Even 1 kg of compost used at large scale becomes impactful. The conclusion about this is that soil organic carbon loss is national threat. Ignoring this will cost India hugely. It will cost food security, groundwater, farmer livelihoods, and climate resilience. So another one is electricity, how we are giving electricity. So assured daytime power for farmers, a policy priority, because now at least in Karnataka, the electricity to agriculture is free. So but it is given only in the night. So daytime it is only in three-phase current is not available, electricity is not available. So they cannot irrigate their fields during the daytime. Only in the night, they have to wait for that time. Why power timing matters? Irrigation is time critical for crops. Watering at the right stage impacts yield. Unpredictable night supply disrupts farm operations. Then nighttime struggles for farmers. Sleepless nights waiting for power. Frequent accidents in darkness. Mental stress and poor quality of life. And health and safety risks. High incidence of snake bites during irrigation. Increased risk of injuries and fatalities. Safety ignored in the current powers policy. Disparity in power access. Industries receive reliable daytime supply, whereas farmers depend on leftover off-peak hours, show misplaced priority despite farmers feeding the nation. So we are not considering farmers' importance at all. The myths of free electricity, not truly free. Farmers pay through risks. Grid stress and transformer failures increase. Free supply doesn't equal reliable supply. What farmers actually need is reliable daytime power for irrigation, fair and affordable power, not merely free, dignity and safety in farming operations. Solar agriculture, best sustainable solution, daytime irrigation without grid dependency. If we subsidize heavily for these solar systems, farmers can have solar systems because we are blessed with so much of solar energy in our country. It reduces government subsidy burden in long run. Clean energy enhances economic resilience. So smart subsidy support, capital subsidy for solar pumps, encourage micro irrigation, support renewable power generation by farmers. It is already there, but we need to strengthen further, especially for solar energy. Economic and social benefits due to this is higher crop productivity with timely irrigation, reduced accidents and health burden, energy self-reliance for farmers and the nation. So an action plan is to dedicated agriculture feeders, solar pump promotion and financing, farmer-centric power reforms we need to take up. Closing message is that don't just give free electricity to farmers, give them the right electricity at the right time, because their life is worth more than their vote. So don't do vote politics. Lastly, I want to talk about insurance, crop insurance. Farmers are not beneficiaries, they are providers. We should not treat them as providers or, beneficiaries or beggars. So actually they are the food providers to the whole nation. He should be put on the top of the rung actually. So India survives because of its farmers who feed 1.4 plus billion people. Any support to them is an investment in food security, not an act of generosity. Paying 6,000 per year under PM Kisan and calling it Samman feels contradictory when a farmer sustains multiple lives every single day. Agriculture Disaster Management Fund should be formed. This is a new suggestion to the government from my side. A fair and dignified alternative to PM Kisan and crop insurance. For any nation, food is strength, food is peace, food is freedom and sovereignty. So why current schemes fail farmers? Rupees 6,000 per year under PM Kisan is symbolic. It doesn't rescue farmers after crop loss. PMFY and Farmer Bima Yojana asks farmers to pay premiums, but delays and rejections erode trust. Funds are spread across all farmers, even those unaffected. Result, no real security, no real justice. Agriculture Disaster Management Fund is a smarter, fairer model. Government funded, no premium for farmers, compensation only to affected farmers, input aid like seeds, nutrients, soil and crop health products can be given, digital and satellite-based loss assessment, immediate relief and recovery support should be given. Compensation for crop loss is not charity, it is the nation's responsibility. Crop losses are systemic risks, government shoulder them. Weather vagaries, droughts, floods, pandemics of pests and viruses, these are beyond the control of farmers. Just as the government provides insurance for banks, corporates, industrial infrastructure, it must provide full crop risk coverage. Farmers should not be paying premiums for something they didn't cause. Crop losses are systemic. Again, a universal crop insurance where government pays 100% of premium, claims are fast, transparent, technology enabled, compensation equals real production cost plus reasonable profit. This alone can prevent farmer suicides, restore confidence, and ensure continuity of food production. Farmers must not be treated as receivers, but as partners. Policies should shift from subsidy mindset to productivity mindset. Instead of 6,000 cash transfer, imagine 10,000 to 15,000 per year farmer on crop insurance, guaranteed cost plus price, free scientific crop management training, that is right to scientific farming, residue-free and export-oriented cultivation support. This transforms respect into real opportunity. So finally, I want to conclude by saying that protecting farmers is equal to protecting the nation. When farmers thrive, the nation prospers. Thank you very much for the opportunity and your patient hearing. And I thank all the people who supported my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your love towards the farmers and your contribution to Indian farmers. So now, next, I am delighted to invite Dr. S. Chandra Nayak, Professor at the Department of Applied Botany and Biotechnology, University of Mysore, and visiting professor at Hokkaido University, Japan, to deliver his address.
So, good evening, everyone. All the distinguished delegates and dear Sir Vasant Kumar Sir. Myself, Dr. Chandra Nayaka, I am working as a professor in ICR AICRP in Polymelite Pathology Laboratory at University of Mysore. And it is my honor to present this session on mainly emphasize on governance of biotechnology, GMOs and eco-friendly practices with special reference to an agri-science perspective in India. So next slide, please. Sir, next slide. Yeah. In this lecture, I will try to provide a comprehensive overview of how biotechnology has evolved into a central pillar of modern agriculture, exploring its governance mechanism, ethical consideration, and future direction towards sustainable and eco-resilient food system. Next slide. So before going to modern biotechnology, just actually I will brief you how biotechnology evolves. The biotechnology term coined by Carol Iericke in 1919 is a Hungarian scientist. It has origin in ancient civilization with early human practices like fermentation, just like yeast for bread and alcohol, and dating as far back as 7000 BC. Technique for food preservation, such as cheese making, like that. So the biotechnology combines biology and technology to utilize cellular and biomolecular process for the development of products and technologies that improve human, animal, plant, and environmental health. It is mainly integration of biology and technology and manipulation of living living system and eco-friendly and multifactorial impact. Next slide, please. Next. Next. Yeah. In ancient biotechnology, already I mentioned about previous. Sorry, back. Yeah, that fermentation. Yeah, fermentation discoveries was observed in 7000 BC. That is mainly yeast for bread and alcohol, and the food preservation technique like cheese making process using rennet to transform milk, and agriculture innovation like selective breeding practices and understanding optimal growing condition of the specific crop, and early medicine like Hippocrates used vinegar and honey mixture for treating respiratory ailments. Next. Next slide. Coming to classical biotechnology era, it is between 1800 to 1940, where when the foundation of modern biology was established. Mainly this Mendel's pea plant experiment introduced the basic law of inheritance, and key cellular discoveries from Robert Brown's identified that nucleus and Mysore isolated DNA. This agriculture advanced through controlled crossbreeding to create hybrid crops, and medicine was transformed by Fleming's discovery of penicillin in 1928. Next slide. In modern biotechnology, what we have seen is that in 1970, the scientist, in 1953, the Watson and Francis Crick's discovery DNA double helix structure, which clarified how genetic information is stored and passed on. And in 1970, scientists discovered restriction enzymes provide precise tools to cut and manipulate DNA molecule. This directly led to the first recombinant DNA experiment by Cohen and Boyer in 1973. Finally, in 1978, biotechnology achieved a major medical milestone with the production of synthetic human insulin using genetically modified bacteria. Next slide. So coming to from tradition to modern era, where we are seeing actually in contemporary of biotechnology with advances in genomics, proteomics, bioinformatics, we can now analyze a biological system at at an unprecedented scale. The major discovery that CRISPR genome editing revolution has enabled precise and affordable gene modification and transforming agriculture, medicine, and fundamental research. Finally, the synthetic biology and AI application tools for creating engineered organism, predictive models, and automation that are pushing biotechnology into a new frontier innovation. Next slide. Next. We have four types of biotechnology. One is red biotechnology. It refers to medical biotechnology, which mainly focuses on healthcare and pharmaceuticals. And here, actually, they will use biological systems to develop vaccines, drugs, and gene therapies. And white biotechnology, it's called industrial biotechnology, where it utilizes micro for eco-friendly industrial processes and produces biofuels, bioplastics, and biodegradable material. And blue biotechnology, that is marine biotechnology, it explores marine organism for bioproducts and therapeutics. And it also harnesses ocean biodiversity for health and industrial innovation. And coming to green biotechnology, where we are working, it is agriculture biotechnology. The biotechnological tool actually mainly we will use for enhance crop yield and sustainability, and also employs genetic modification for pest resistance and food security. Next slide. Next. Uh, so coming to agriculture biotechnology, in it is merged with molecular tools, microbial inputs, and nanotechnology to enhance productivity and sustainability. It enables precision crop improvement, stress tolerance, and reduce dependence on chemicals. This field plays a pivotal role in transforming tradition farming into a more resilient and resource efficient enterprise that supports both farmers and environment conditions. Especially countries like India, we are mainly depending on agriculture, so we need actually the biotechnological tools to feed the more peoples. Next slide. Next. So why biotechnology is needed in agriculture sector is mainly enhance yield and quality, where actually we have actually less arable land, and due to because of climatic condition, actually we are producing less food. So these biotechnological tools can enhance production and productivity of the crops. And also biotechnology is one of the key technique which will improve the resistance to pest and diseases in specific crops. And it also we in biotech we are using engineered microbes to use crop production instead of chemical inputs and environmental impact. And this input enables climate resilient and resource efficient farming. Next. So mainly in biotechnology, we have actually two systems. One is genetically modified crops, and another one is gene edited crops, which is recently come to a light. The main difference between these two techniques is that in genetically modified crops, we are using foreign DNA from other species like plant to animal or animal to plant. In case of gene edited crops, we are using only genome edits without foreign DNA. We are using actually repetitive DNA, especially this CRISPR techniques. And in GMOs, actually it is a transgenesis. Mainly it is through agrobacterium mediated technique. In gene edited crops, we are using actually CRISPR, talents, and ZFNs. And the nature of modification is that in GMOs, we are using new gene insertion, but in case of gene edited crops, we are using only small edit or natural like mutation of that specific crop. Coming to that biosafety risk, actually in GMOs it is a higher, but in gene-edited crops it is a lower one. And the regulation in case of GMOs it is highly stringent throughout the world, but in case of gene-edited crops it is a simpler and in many countries. The time required for developing a GMOs it is between 8 to 12 years, but in case of gene edited, actually we need actually 2 to 4 years. The cost is high in case of GMOs and compared to gene edited crops, and public acceptance is also higher in case of gene edited crops compared to GMOs. This distinction is vital for promoting next generation crop technologies that ensure both productivity and also biosafety. Next. Here actually I'm trying to explain you the more than 25 nations are accepted GM crops. The mainly they are using GM crops for pest resistance, drought tolerance, and biofortification purpose. The top adopters countries are USA, Brazil, India, Argentina, and China. The emerging trends actually scientists are looking is that nitrogen use efficiency and also carbon capture. Next slide. Next. Coming to Indian regulatory framework, how it will work, especially in case of GMOs. In India, actually, it has established a multi-tiered biotechnology regulatory system, which is involving different institute. In case of Department of Biotechnology, it is a nodal agency for responsible for biotechnology policy, funding, and regulation. It provides scientific oversight and enforces biosafety compliance, and it oversees the review committee on genetic manipulation. Next. In another main regulatory framework we have actually in our country, it is a review committee on genetic manipulation. This committee monitors biosafety of GMO research in labs and greenhouse condition, and it approves content research trials and ensures documentation, and it will coordinate with institution biosafety committees for further process. Next. And next is Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. It's called GEAC. It is a apex authority for our environmental clearance of GM crops, and it evaluates environmental risk and biosafety compliance. This GEAC coordinate with both DBT and ICR for open field trials and approvals. Next. After approval, actually, we have one more committee. It's called Food Safety and Standard Authority of India Institute. This is FSSI regulates safety assessment of this GF foods under FSS Act of 2006. And this FSSI evaluate toxicity, allergenicity, and nutritional equivalence of GM crops with they will compare with the existing crop, and it will implement implements labeling and import rules of GM ingredients from one nation to other. Next. We have Indian Council of Agriculture Research. In this institute, actually, this institute will assess agronomic performance and adaptability of GM crops, and it will conduct actually multi-location trial through AICRPs, which is located in across the country, and it provides a scientific recommendation for varietal release, whether this crop is actually suitable for cultivation or not. And what is the parameter? The parameter which we have actually followed is that crop productivity, production, and whatever the FSSI and the DBT regulation that they will follow and actually conduct the field trials. Next. How it will approval once all these trials, actually we have IBSC, that is laboratory and content trials, where actually conducted under institutional biosafety committees approved by, this committee was approved by Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. It is focused on gene construct validation, molecular characterization, and expression analysis. The genetically modified crop, actually the plant which we are growing in the glass house, actually they will use for actually validation and molecular characterization before going to expression analysis. It is performed in contained facilities like BSL-1 and BSL-2 to prevent environmental exports. Government of India is having actually this BSL-1, BSL-2 in more than 6 states of this country, especially for it is mainly for some specific crops. This data supports RCGM submission for further evaluation. Next. So after that, actually, we have a confined field trial, that is BRL1 and BRL2. In BRL1 trials are initial open field test under RCGM supervision. In BRL2 trials involves multiple sites with the GEC approval to assess environmental safety. They will coordinate with both DBT and ICR. They will conduct the specific trial in a specific location to evaluate gene stability and pest resistance and ecological interaction under natural conditions. Also, they will consider for actually to release. This data contribute comprehensive biosafety and performance evaluation. Next. So after that, actually, again, it will come to GEC evaluation and clearance. GEC is under Ministry of Environmental, Forest and Climate Change. It conducts actually national level risk and biosafety evaluation, which will assess environmental safety, gene flow and non-target effects also they will study because sometimes the some researchers claim that actually this GMO crop may affect actually soil microbiome and also some environmental microbiome, that also they will evaluate under MOEFCC, and which will ensure compliance with biosafety guidelines and Catena protocol. Grants environmental release clearance before ICR testing. Next. What ICR will do is that they will once all this committee passed, again they will conduct ICR multi-location and for agronomic testing. It is executed through All India Coordinated Research Program under ICR. They are mainly evaluate the yield and adaptability and agronomic traits across diverse agroclimatic zones. For example, actually we are working with millets. We have actually around 14 equip center across India. So whatever the samples actually they will we will receive, actually we will conduct the trials in the field condition, and all the 14 trials as to, out of 14 actually for example out of 10, at least minimum 8 center has to clear this yield and adaptability and agronomic trait in a specific zone, and they have to generate field data on resistance, stability and productivity. The findings submitted for varietal release and the GAC final review committee, and Government of India will constitute one varietal release committee. That varietal release committee, they will check all the data, whatever the ICR Institute actually submitted, whether it is suitable for release for commercialization or not. Next. Next. So once actually the varietal committee will approve, the final approval following completion of all biosafety and agronomic evaluation. This GAC issues clearance for environmental and commercial cultivation, which requires both FSSI clearance and state level NOCs for commercialization, and it will be officially notified and released for large scale farm use through Government of India Gazette. Next. So in biosafety and risk assessment, especially this gene flow and biodiversity concern, the unintended gene transfer from GM crops to wild relatives may affect biodiversity. This monitoring requires for pollen-mediated gene escape and also hybridization risk. This isolation distance and buffer zones minimize cross-pollination, and the long-term studies ensure that ecosystem balance and native diversity protection. Next. Next. This non-target organism impact on soil health and food safety to prevent unintended consequences. Through continuous research and monitoring, India will ensure that biotechnological innovations remain both environmentally sound and socially responsible. Next. Next. Next slide. Next. That regarding human food toxicity safety, actually they will test the confirm the absence of toxic or allergenic compound from genetic modification, which includes acute and chronic toxicity, and in vitro digestibility studies they will conduct, and compares new protein with known allergens through bioinformatics screening. Usually the government will do through in silico screening only, and which will confirm the nutritional equivalence to conventional food crops for consumer safety. Next. And coming to this ethical and socio-economic issues, in ethical governance ensures that biotechnology benefits reach all sections of society while upholding farmers' rights, seed sovereignty, and equitable technology access. And transparent communication, fair intellectual property practices, and community participation are essential for maintaining public trust and ensuring inclusive agriculture innovations. Next. Coming to case study, you might be know that India has developed a first BT cotton it is introduced in 2002 under GSC approval for commercial cultivation. This is actually mainly BT gene from Bacillus thuringiensis, which will provide resistance against bollworms, which is adopted in over 95% of India's cotton area with rapid expansion, and public-private partnership accelerated this technology dissemination. Next. However, next slide. However, the emergence of pink bollworm resistance highlight the need for integrated pest management and continuous scientific innovation. This case exemplifies how responsible regulation and adaptive research are a key for sustaining transgenic crop success. Next. Next. This is the challenge and future. Yeah. Previous one. Yeah, coming to this emerging technology, the era is actually gene-edited crops, mainly this CRISPR-Cas9 CRISPR-Cas genome editing. Here actually are enable highly precise and targeted modification of genes to enhance disease, pest, and stress resistance, which will allows a knockout or insertion or replacement of genes without affecting any unrelated genomic regions, which will facilitate non-transgenic crop improvement. That gene editing is not a transgenic one; it is a non-transgenic crop, and by
Just one second, sir.
yeah, I will conclude actually.
Yes, no.
Yeah. Next. Sorry. It is one of the technique which is rapidly advancing for trait enhancement in cereals, millets, pulses, and horticultural crops. You might be know that just actually 2 months. I think in July, August, Government of India released the first two genome editing rice varieties in India, mainly on abiotic stress. Next. Next. And one more emerging technology is RNAi technology, which is mainly used for this biotic and abiotic stage, which employs double stranded RNA molecule to silence specific pest genes essential for survival or reproduction, which will provide species-specific control, minimizing harm to beneficial insects and non-target organisms. Uh, uh, These innovation promises targeted precision, environmental safety, and enhanced sustainability, marking a paradigm shift from transgenic modification to more natural gene-based crop improvement strategies. Next. And one more recent advanced technology is that synthetic biology for metabolic engineering. This technology is enables for production of high value metabolites, including vitamins, pigment, and stress protectants using genome editing technology. They are enhancing actually production of high value metabolite from medicinal plants and microbes. And this synthetic biology also supports bio-based manufacturing of biofertilizer, fuels, and pharmaceutical, reducing dependence on fossil inputs. This advances in CRISPR-enabled pathway regulation allow optimizations for of flux for desired metabolite yields. Next. And one more emerging technology is that nano fertilizer and biosensors. This year, actually, due to because of lack of urea, Government of India asked farmers to use nano urea for their cultivation, and many of the research output show that this nano urea actually giving very good production and productivity in different crops. And also developing a biosensors is one of the emerging technology where actually we can use this biosensor for soil health as well as actually detection and identification of pests and pathogens. Next. One of the mainly researcher concentrating on microbiome engineering, where actually customized microbial consortia will develop, involve design specific microbial communities to promote plant health and productivity, and also engineering microbes to help plants resist drought, salinity, and pathogen and disease, and development of biofertilizer, which is eco-friendly and alternative to chemicals, and One Health and sustainability link, which will support soil plant microbe interaction essential for sustainable agro ecosystem. Next slide. This is the eco-friendly practice in agriculture. Like we are, the farmers are actually using biofertilizer and biopesticide, and promoting Government of India promoting organic and natural farming, and integrate disease and nutrient management, combines biological, cultural practices, and minimal chemical for balanced soil fertility, and also for pest control. And the climate smart and the precision agriculture is where it uses sensors, GIS, and weather-based tools to optimize resources and adapt climate variability. Next slide. The microbial technology underpin sustainable farming for enhancing soil fertility, promoting plant growth, and protecting against pathogens. These beneficial microbes like Trichoderma, Bacillus, Pseudomonas, and mycorrhiza improve nutrient uptake and stress tolerance. The application of engineered microbial consortia represent a transformative step in realizing bio-based low input agriculture to enhance production and productivity of the crops. Next. Actually, yeah, green governance framework. Actually, this Government of India, the science-based risk proportionate regulation was followed, and the transparency and the stakeholders consultation should be adopted. Next. And especially public engagement and literacy is very important, especially in GMOs and genome editing crops, which will improve awareness of biotechnology benefits and its limitations, because it promotes public participation in biosafety monitoring and decision making, and also it combats misinformation through science communication initiatives. And international harmonization of biosafety standard like aligns national biosafety policies with global standard like Cartagena Protocol, and facilitate international cooperation for GM crop approval and safety review, which will promote knowledge sharing capacity building and global biosafety trust. Next. These are the global institution and organization like FAO, which is located in Rome. It promotes safe agriculture and biotechnology for food security and sustainability. And the WHO, which will evaluate health and food safety impacts of food security on GM products. And Codec Elementaries, which is located in Italy, it develops international food safety standards and labeling norm for GM products. And OECD, which will provide biosafety guidelines and harmonize the risk assessment framework of genetically modified crops. And treaties like Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety, which will govern international movement of living modified organism with focus on biosafety. And Nagoya Protocol, which will ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from use of genetic resources and associated knowledge. Next. The future direction of biotechnology governance lies in digital traceability, this AI integration and microbiome driven sustainability. This genome editing, deregulation, and inclusive policy framework may shape India's next phase of bioinnovation. Next. To conclude, responsible governance will ensure that biotechnology contributes to a sustainable, equitable, and resilient agriculture future for all. Next. Thank you for your patience. I'm sorry for all the inconvenience. If you have any question, please free to ask.
Thank you so much, sir, for your fascinating presentation. Now, to conclude today's series of sessions, I'm pleased to invite the last speaker, Dr. Deepak Gadge, from the Intuitive Data Solution Private Limited, Hyderabad, to talk on blockchain and smart contract in agriculture supply chain system. Sir, before you take the virtual stage, we would like to introduce you to our audience.
It's a pleasure to introduce Deepak Gadge, an author, mentor, entrepreneur, and a strategist operating at the crossroads of AI, blockchain, self-sovereign identity, digital public infrastructure, ESG, token economics, cybersecurity. Based in Mumbai, Deepak currently serves as Senior Vice President, Strategy and Growth, Blockchain Practice at Information Data Systems, where he helps governments and enterprises build ethical and future-ready digital ecosystems. With 27 years of leadership across digital transformation, identity, and innovation, Deepak focuses on turning digital trust into real-world outcomes. He architects verifiable credential frameworks, DPI-aligned identity systems, carbon intelligent programs, and token-based incentive models. His go-to-market playbook revolves around the 5 Ps, that is, product, place, process, positioning, price, to drive growth with compliance and social benefit. Previously, Deepak was Director Strategy at Ironworks from 2023 to 2025 and also a co-founder in 2 Stealth Ventures, a blockchain startup and a healthcare startup. He was also a lead at APAC vendor management at GP Strategics from 2016 to 2021. He is also a consultant from 2015 to 2016, holding Vice President project services at BNP Paribas from 2011 to 2014, program management manager at Tata AIG Life from 2007 to 2011, project manager at Honeywell from 2006 to 2007, project transition leader at Allianz 2004 to 2006. He began an operations and EDMS transformation as a business expert at Swiss Re from 2001 to 2004. Earlier with American Data Solutions from 1999 to 2001. Deepak's edge is operational excellence at scale. He has governed ecosystems of 400 plus vendors, run multi-million-dollar programs in procurement, tendering, vendor governance, and PMO.
He's also negotiated complex SLA, privacy, and compliance frameworks across jurisdictions. He has led BBR and automation-enabled order-to-cash improvements, run analytics, and delivered measurable cost optimizations through rate card and contract realignment. Deepak designs utility governance token systems that aligns incentives, economics, and regulation. From adoption models to citizen-centric benefits. On AI, he's built agentic workflows that deliver automated leadership insights, and he authored a comprehensive Gen AI-driven edition of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, translating every verse for students, corporate leaders, and policymakers with full chapter summaries, an end-to-end solo project completed in 6 months that demonstrate why we should adopt AI and not fear it. Deepak's credentials include IIM Kolkata's Executive Program in General Management, a PMP, ITIL V3, FLMI, and a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. Along with targeted leadership learning, like LinkedIn's Become a Chief of Staff. His academic roots are in life sciences, a BSc in botany, biochemistry, and microbiology, which grounds his systems thinking in evidence and rigor. Beyond boardrooms, Deepak is a guest speaker, mentor. He volunteers with Isha Foundation and has coordinated community social work in Mysuru, organizing yoga programs, including for the Mumbai Police, and mobilizing local infrastructure initiatives. He engages widely 9,800 followers and 500 connections and maintains an open door for collaboration via his public calendar. Please join me in welcoming Deepak Gagdi, a Senior Vice President. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a long introduction. And I am from Mysore, proud to be in this event, though it's a last session. And this is a very interesting session. And I hope you all can hear me, right? Yes, okay. I will share my presentation. Can you just give me access to sharing the screen?
Access is given.
Just let me know when I have access.
It's already
It's
given.
Okay, let me.
Yes.
Check. Yeah, sure. Just give me a second.
Let him share. Close your share.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
I just want to know before this, before I get into the session, I want to know how many of you understand blockchain?
Your voice is
You can just raise your hands if you. What is blockchain? Fine. Just 1 second. Just give me a second. Let me check this. Is it okay now?
No.
Hello. Is it okay now?
Audio is good, sir.
Okay. I just wanted people to raise their hands. How many of them understand blockchain? If most of you don't understand, I just want to run a 5-minute session about what is blockchain, and then start the presentation.
Sir, could you please close your presentation, reshare again?
Okay. I've
yeah.
Okay.
Which is unmute all, then.
What is from?
You can see my presentation, right? Hello.
Yes, sir. We can see it. You may proceed, sir.
No. If somebody has to respond, okay. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
मी तिकडे जाणार आहे क्लिनिक थोडं लवकर बंद करून
Hi. Basically, I'm going to talk about blockchain and smart contracts in agriculture supply chain context. Given my last 5 years, 4 to 5 years, I've been spending on blockchain and AI, and importance of technology adoption and today's agriculture ecosystem. DPI in agriculture, we have one use case which is run by Open AgriNet, which is also supporting the farmers in with open secure networks, so that the farmers can benefit largely with the pricing and inputs and support in terms of technology. And we will look through what are the other practices where across the globe where blockchain has been adopted. So basically, why blockchain and smart contracts are required in agriculture is there are challenges in traditional agriculture supply chains, lack of transparency, fraud, manual paperwork, delays, price volatility. Problems include middlemen, counterfeit products, poor traceability, and insufficient subsidy delivery. Blockchain is an immutable ledger, decentralized trust, real-time data sharing, and smart contracts automate conditional transaction, reducing friction and accelerating payments. Research data shows that up to 20 to 30% reduction in losses with blockchain adoption. This can be more if it is widely adopted across a state or a country, which benefits in reducing a lot of government's manual efforts and automating the entire verifiability process. So, what is blockchain? Blockchain is basically a decentralized digital ledger technology that records transaction across networks of computers. Instead of storing data in one central location, the data is stored in blocks that are cryptographically linked to chronological chain. Once recorded, the information in blockchain cannot be altered or deleted, ensuring transparency, security, and immutability. This is the single source of truth where nobody can tamper the records, is why blockchain is more relevant and even in the enterprise or government ecosystems, where most of the certificates, documents, land registries, identities are issued, where there is a lot of ghost IDs which are produced, duplicate cards are produced, and the beneficiaries, the ghost ID holders, get more subsidiaries than the stakeholders who probably who need support from the government. The whole challenge for the government is to eliminate those ghost IDs, and that is one challenge when a government is implementing a DPI infrastructure like Aadhaar or your voter card or a ration card, where they need to eliminate the ghost identity users. So if you imagine a ledger or a spreadsheet that is duplicated across many computers worldwide, everyone will see the changes and everyone will have the same record. Nobody can tamper the record without permission of the ecosystem. So this is how a blockchain will be connected. So let me show you one simple demonstration why blockchain is safe and secure. So let's consider this is a block, and this block has a block number and a nonce, and this block has a hash number. And because of this hash, this empty block will always have the same hash number which cannot be tampered. Now let's say if I type something here, the block has been edited. So I'm going to mine this block to ensure that this block has a new hash. So you can see the hash value has changed. And for every time I type the same text, the same uh, hash will come. Now, if I try to make any change, even if I add a full stop, or then you can see it is already tampered. It will tell you that the document is tampered. So this is the beauty of blockchain. Why anytime it is tampered, it will let the others know this document is false. When we say blockchain, the blocks are connected with the hashes. So you have, this is a Genesis block and these are the subsequent blocks. Now Genesis block has a hash, and this hash is connected to the next block with the previous hash, block hash. So this is how the connection happens. So if you look at this chain, so how this chain is connected. So basically all these three blocks are connected through this hash, and these 5 blocks, 5 to 6 blocks are connected because they are chained through the hash, previous block hash. So if I have to modify anything, any block now, if I try to modify the third block, so if you can see the first 2 blocks remain same because they have not tampered, and any block after that block where the data is tampered, everything is showing this block is manipulated. So this is why the system is secure and nobody can since tamper the records. So this will help in any government or enterprise solution where there is verifiability and there is need for trusted records, where digital trust is something which we lack today, and digital trust is only can be secured by blockchain. So when you say distributed ledger, what happens is we have three peers here, A, B, and C. So let's say I know here in the forum Mr. Vasant Kumar. I'm very closely associated and a fan of him. Let's say Deepak and Vasant Kumar and one more person has the same blocks, and the third person goes and tries to modify a block. Now I can see that the fourth block for A and B are same, whereas the C person has tried to modify the block. Now A and B can decide whether to accept this block or to eliminate this block. So once I eliminate, if we think this is not a valid block, we can always eliminate, and from here on this block is not going to be part of the ecosystem. This is what is consensus based proof of work. So once the consensus is taken among the community or the network of computers, only that data is accepted. So that is why blockchain is secure and why people uh, are pushing blockchain for more data security, immutability, transparency, and trust. So that's the reference for this presentation, where we are now going to talk about the use of blockchain and why, how it is going to secure farmer identities and other benefits to the farmer. So basically, how smart contracts works. Smart contracts are basically self-executing computer programs running on a blockchain network. Do not get confused with the word contract. The word contract is misleading if you connect with the legal contract, legal abbreviation of the word contract. It automatically enforces contract terms when predefined conditions are met, operate without the need for intermediaries or manual enforcement. It contains a condition if else condition logic to control transfer of assets, data, or permission. It's basically a handshake between two parties. There is a condition. If the conditions are met, the execution of the next step will happen. If the condition is not met, then the next whatever action is supposed to happen, that will take place, or no action will happen. So basically, it's a coded contract. It is not a legal contract based on the conditional logic. So key features of smart contract: it automates, executes transaction or actions instantly upon conditional fulfillment. It is immutable. Once deployed on blockchain, terms cannot be altered or tampered with, so that nobody can contest that I did not agree to these terms, because it has already been agreed between the parties. They have signed digitally and they all have the same copies of the records or the contracts. Transparency, the contract code and execution visible to all authorized parties, enhancing trust. So there is no ambiguity in terms of the contract code or the terms of the agreement. Security, secured by cryptography and redundancy, reducing fraud and unauthorized challenges. And efficiency, reduces delays and cost by eliminating paperwork and intermediaries. So basically, in agriculture, if a sector, if you look at, there is a lot of intermediaries who are today probably controlling the whole ecosystem. With smart contracts, the farmer can sign up with the company or the end buyer directly without the need for having any intermediaries. And once the condition is met, maybe it's the pricing, the produce, the quality based on certain conditions, the farmer is able to supply the goods to the end consumer or the company, and the company will be able to verify based on the quality and conditions what they agreed. Immediately the payment can be transferred directly to the farmer without having the need for any intermediaries. So that mediation commissions which the mediator used to take, that goes as a benefit to the farmer, which is a larger ecosystem benefit for the farmer itself. An example of a smart contract, basically, let's look at a scenario. Now, farmer uploads the data, farmer uploads verified organic certification, his GPS location and soil quality analysis on blockchain. Once it is uploaded, like I said, nobody can tamper it. Quality verification happens. Smart contract contractually automatically verifies that required certification is valid and up to date. Shipping monitoring, IoT sensors track temperature, humidity during transport in case of cold storage transport. Data streams to blockchain, and you can also look at look at the location of the vehicles. If they get stuck in some accidents or any mishaps happen or delays due to traffic jams, you can monitor that. Condition checks. Smart contract regularly checks if shipping conditions remain within the agreed safety parameters. Payment upon buyer confirmation of delivery, verified conditions, the contract automatically releases payments to farmer and transporter. All transactions conditions are immutably recorded, minimizing disputes and enhancing trust. So basically, if if I'm a farmer, I take seeds from person A, and I first pay a 50% advance, and then I promise to pay him after the harvest the remaining 50%. This is written as a smart contract saying that I have taken 50%, I've paid 50%, I've taken the seeds, and then after the harvesting of 90 days or 120-day cycle, where the farmer has promised the funder that his payment will be made, it automatically deducts the payment to the funder from the farmer's account. Or if there is a collateral attached, that collateral becomes property of the funder. So this is, in simple terms, understanding the smart contract. So it is the benefits with the smart contract model for farmers. It's a verified proof of organic or sustainable practices, which also can lead to for them to benefit on carbon credits if there is a carbon credit or carbon emissions certificate which is tagged to their sustainable practices. Faster payment after delivery confirmation. For buyers, assurance of product authenticity and quality, and transparent supply chain traceability. For governments, reliable certification records to enforce standards, ability to track subsidy and incentive distribution if it is linked. So basically, if I'm linked with my Aadhaar card with the farmer ID, and if I have to get a fertilizer subsidy or a subsidy or a or a payment from the government in case of floods or in case of loss of crops or credit insurance, so my identity will be the one key aspect which is very important for the government to distribute benefits to the farmers, which is linked to their bank accounts. In India, this is still a very good state because everybody has an Aadhaar card. The digital public infrastructure is very mature, and we have one of the leading one of the leading countries in digital public infrastructure, where we have more than 15 to 17 digital public goods like your DigiYatra, DigiLocker, and ONDC, Aadhaar card, FASTag, and your UPI itself is one of the largest growing use cases of DPI infrastructure, which we are now sharing across countries. So that is helping the government to transfer technology to other countries in developing countries where they are still lacking on the digital public infrastructure and digital public goods. For banks and insurance, verifiable transactions, histories for credit and insurance underwriting, automated insurance claims triggered by shipment of data. So all the stakeholders in the entire ecosystem are benefiting from the smart contract. So how are smart contracts different from a legal contract? Basically, smart contracts are self-executing code on blockchain and automatically enforcing, whereas a legal contract is a manual enforced reliant on legal systems and intermediaries. It is flexible, typically rigid, coded logic with limited scope for interpretation. So once it is coded and the conditions are agreed, you cannot make any changes there. And here in the legal contract, it is highly customizable, it is adaptable to complex agreements and human interpretation. So this human interpretation can become uh, it's a bottleneck in cases, and it can delay the benefits to the farmers to a longer periods. Transparency, it is transparent and accessible on blockchain ledger because all the parties can see the same transaction, and often confidential and subject to interpretation disputes when we look at the legal contracts. And cost and speed, it is fast, low cost due to automation and no intermediaries, time consuming, costly due to negotiations, enforcement, and legal fees. And if you look at our current scenario, there are so many cases pending. So legal contracts will have their own challenges for until the award is given to the right individual. Legal recognition, not all smart contracts are legally binding. Smart legal contracts bridge this by combining code and legal text, fully recognized as a legal binding and agreements under law. Modifications, code are immutable after deployments. Once my code is deployed, then I cannot make any changes. Contracts can be amended, renegotiated by parties. So this is basically difference between the smart contract and the legal contracts. Now, how blockchain and smart contracts enhance agriculture ecosystem? Basically, like I said at the start, and the way I showed the distributed ledger, it's a single source of truth, and it is end-to-end transparency to track provenance from farm to table. In the earlier presentation, also we heard about farm to table as one of the use cases, and improved traceability for quality assurance and food safety, faster transparent payments and contract enforcement, real-time monitoring of commodities, inventory, pricing, and logistics, and efficient subsidy direct benefit transfer mechanism, which will help the enterprise or the governments to implement seamlessly. So benefits to stakeholders: for farmers, it is proof of ownership and transparent pricing. And I think Sir also spoke about the pricing in his presentation. Less exploitation by middlemen. So it is he spoke about scientific knowledge and then scientific pricing. That's a very important point which we need to uplift the knowledge of the farmers. Automated payment upon delivery, instant loan assurance or insurance claim triggers. For buyers, verified quality and origin, reduced fraud risks, and faster contract execution and minimized disputes. So for governments, it is transparent subsidy disbursement, fraud detection, and improved policy enforcement. Efficient benefit flow, automated compliance monitoring from the smart contract perspective. For banks and insurance, enhanced credit scoring with transaction histories and reduced risk fraud. And with smart contract, instant claim settlements and dynamic risk assessments can happen. So global adoption of smart contracts or blockchain. In the US, IBM had as a platform called Footrest, which is currently, I think it is now brought this application down due to some challenges. Walmart blockchain for produced traceability, which is one of the use cases which is largely being spoken in all agri seminars or webinars. So to just give you an example why Walmart used blockchain was they had two incidents when they had to trace some infections, one in mango and one in our lettuce. So basically for them to identify, Walmart is a huge warehouse. You can imagine how big is a Walmart warehouse can be. And for them, they source these fruits and vegetables from all parts of the globe. And then they had two instances of infection which was getting spread in the warehouse because of the lettuce and mangoes. And typically it takes 2 weeks for them to identify from which geolocation these materials were sourced. 2 weeks can spoil the entire produce of the viral or bacterial or infections which can transmit easily. And that was a very big challenge for Walmart. And that's when they went to IBM, they wanted a secure solution on blockchain. With implementation of blockchain, Walmart could identify the same problem or the geolocation of the produce within 5 minutes. So that's the power of blockchain. So you can easily identify from which farm, which produce is being sourced, which farmer is associated with that, so that you can eliminate those crops immediately, and you can send the feedback to the producer as well. In China, there is agri-chain pilot projects for traceability and subsidy. And Australia, blockchain integrated grain supplies has been in place. Europe, EU-funded agri-food chain pilots focusing on quality and control and subsidy sustainability is in place. In Europe, there is a big transition which is also happening, where they are also asking for us to give more transparency on the end-to-end produce. For example, if somebody is exporting textiles from India, so they need to give the entire traceability of the cotton or silk and the entire process of knitting, weaving, yarning, and then converting that into a cloth, and all the sustainable practices which they are practicing for either using renewable energy or solar energy, or how they are treating the water treatment. All this data has to go as a digital product passport. So this is a huge change which is coming into the European Union from next year. This is also going to impact our farmers, because any produce which you are going to export to European Union from 26 to 2030, you need to adhere to the digital product passport regulations. So otherwise, we will also lose the export market, which we already have been experiencing the tariff regulations, and there have been challenges like all we know. Now, this is an opportunity for us to adapt to sustainable practices, and then also put India into the next league with adoption of blockchain and AI as a as one of the leaders in the market. The statistics, I'll probably skip this slide, and I'll share this presentation to the group, and they can send it to the audience, because there's a lot of text, is more of academic value. So in Indian scenario, the state-wise blockchain implementation in agriculture, Telangana blockchain enabled ENAM, National Agriculture Market for pilot for transparent trading, has been implemented. Blockchain-based logistics and warehouse tracking for agriculture commodities in Karnataka has been piloted. Punjab smart contracts for procurement, payments in wheat and marketing has been implemented. Maharashtra pilot crop insurance using blockchain and IoT sensors and data integration is already happening. So Punjab, there was also a tender for traceability of banana crops. I think this was in 23-24, where they wanted to use blockchain as a traceability solution. And in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, they wanted to trace the the origin of and quality of opium seeds. So opium has been grown and it's been exported. It is categorized into ABC categories. What used to happen is, because of the nexus with the uh, authorities and the bureaucrats in the department, the farmer was able to negotiate and get the crop uplifted, the quality of the crop uplifted to a higher category, though it was in the lower grades. So this was causing a problem. And then one of our my older previous startup, where I was one of the co-founders, we were able to solve this problem in eliminating the entire bottlenecks, and we removed that entire department which was managing this whole process. With that, we made the system so seamless and transparent that nobody could change the quality or grade or manipulate any of those records. And digital agriculture mission and blockchain initiatives in India. National Digital Agriculture Mission which has been established, launched by the Government of India to promote smart farming and digitization of agriculture sector. So key technologies in agriculture are AI, blockchain, and Internet of Things, drones, and data analytics. These are very important for today's adoption for technology, where you can. The most important is also the agriculture productivity, where AI can help in identification of the diseases and transmit the data to the service providers or to the farmers or local crop doctors like Dr. Vasant Kumar suggested. And where there, with that intervention of data, there can be immediate action taken for curing the providing remedies to the problem. And blockchain can do the uh, digital trust, where nobody can tamper the data. Internet of things can transmit data to the service provider. So it's saying what can either it's a supply of overdose or supply of water, or if there is any lack of resources, that can be immediately checked for quality assurance. Drones can be used for surveillance or even spraying medicines or fertilizers using drones for large farms. All the analytics data collected will be used for further analysis and giving proper remedies. So basically, there is a lot of intervention and innovation happening in this sector. So if you look at blockchain and fintech initiatives, subsidy disbursement pilots, India has piloted blockchain to deliver fertilizer subsidies directly to verified farmers, minimizing leakages and frauds. State pilots, Telangana, Karnataka, Maharashtra, which we have already spoken. Fintech partnerships, banks and agri-fintech startups leverage blockchain-based farmer KYC for smart credits and crop insurance and direct benefit transfers. So basically, the impact and progress. India boasts over 1,000 agri-tech startups, many integrating blockchain for contract enforcement, IoT, data capture and trading. Digital crop survey and geo-reference land records now cover hundreds of districts. More than 50 crores allocated for tech adoption in 2025 to 26. Private sector, NinjaCart, ITC, Geo, and government collaborating to build blockchain-enabled digital public good for agri markets. So digital public good is becoming one of the benefits for the farmers or farming ecosystem, whereby they can access the open standards and open uh, architecture for gaining more benefits to the farmer and the end users or the consumers. Basically, in India, we still are in a far more better scenario. There is still scope for improvement. I've just returned from Africa, where there is a lot of challenges in terms of knowledge, data sharing, and even productivity per acre of crop, because these are marginal farmers like India has, and there is a big divide between the rich and the poor class. So if through interventions of technology and training, which is most important, if we can provide knowledge to the farmers to increase the productivity per acre, each marginal farmer will be able to earn more and also avoid risks which they are currently incurring because of lack of knowledge and not what to how to treat uh, the crops when they are infected. So Dr. Vasant Kumar use case is a very classic use case. Whenever it is presented to the stakeholders, they are amazed with the changes and the productivity scale at which we have achieved this as a program. And these are real results which can be easily verified and seen by the stakeholders. And now let's look at some of the companies which have implemented, which are supporting the farmers. Open AgriNet is a DPG, which is another enterprise which is helping farmers in adoption of technology. The key features are they are collecting farm level data, digitizing the land records, smart contract execution for crop sales, and insurance and traceability framework. So they are basically an agri DPI with the introduction of AI solutions, basically. So they are connecting governments, innovators, and organizations to promote sustainable and efficient crop culture, inclusive agricultural practices worldwide. And basically, they're looking at interoperable tech so that the data can be shared or exchanged securely across platforms, across departments and stakeholders. Uh, their main stack is what they are using is AI, IoT, and blockchain. Blockchain protocol which they are using is one of the Indian blockchain called Beacon protocol, which is again a Bangalore startup. Building digital divide, also they're helping to reduce the digital divide by accessing vital agri information inputs and resources to farmers by their work, which they are connecting in Maharashtra, and I think in a couple of countries in Africa they have already implemented. And they are helping farmers to combat fraud risks and counterfeit goods for the end users. And they are already impacting more than 600 million farmers across the globe. It's a very good use case for people who are interested to go and visit Open AgriNet, their website. The next one is Open SSP, Farmer Identity Initiative in Vietnam. Open SSP is an open source service platform has supported building digital farmer identity in Vietnam to enhance traceability, data ownership, and access to agri services. The initiative addresses the limited use of digital platforms by Vietnamese farmers despite high mobile penetration, emphasizing local social networks and data sovereignty. So basically, the key features are create digital farmer profiles capturing farm data, land ownership, production practice, and transaction history. This is this is relating to my previous slide, which I was talking about the European compliance. They are already trying to align with the European compliance when it comes to digital product passport requirement. Use of digital identities and QR codes to uniquely identify produce and farmers, linking agriculture activities with services like credit, insurance, and extension advisory. Integrate with broader national digital identity and traceability initiatives for agriculture products. Some of the impacts and insights from OpenSSP: farmers retain control over the data and fostering trust and autonomy. So they are using some architecture stack called self-sovereign identity, where the control of the data is in the hands of the data holder, which is the farmer or the citizen in another case. So the issuer can be an agri ministry or a bank or an insurance company of any identity, but the data controller is the farmer who decides to be verified and what needs to be verified. So there is no personal data, personal information, identifiable information leakage. So they know who's verifying and why they are verifying. Enables transparent tracking of produce origin, enhancing market access and consumer confidence. Facilitate equitable access to digital agri services, mitigating risks of marginalization for small scale farmers. Support national agriculture exports with blockchain-backed traceability, helping comply with international standards. Strategic importance: important step towards climate resilient, inclusive digital agriculture in Vietnam's rapidly modernizing sector. Can serve as a replicable model for other countries aiming to digitize smallholder farming ecosystems responsibly. Challenges in adopting blockchain in agriculture: the infrastructure gap in rural areas, the connectivity is one problem. Data privacy and ownership concerns, which in the OpenSSI project that has been sorted out, where you can issue a secure credential to farmer with his ID and the land records, where they can hold the data privacy and they can decide to verify with the verified authorities. Integration with legacy systems and multiple stakeholders. If the country has multiple legacy systems, that's another challenge which we face during implementation. And need for farmer education and capacity building. So this is not only the farmer, even the agri universities where we are producing graduates and PhDs and masters. Everybody has to be educated for sustainable practices, productivity, and technology use case. Today, blockchain and AI are disrupting every ecosystem, and agri is no agriculture sector is also not getting away from that, because with superior technology where you can produce more and reduce your risks, uh, countries can reduce their risk burden, and that can increase the that can benefit the GDP's growth. So that if we have sustainable practices and standardized practices across the country. Legal regulatory frameworks lagging digital innovations or complex regulatory frameworks are a challenge, like the slide where we saw smart contract was a legal contract. So those contracting ecosystems also are a challenge. If we can adopt a blockchain through smart contracts, there is no bottlenecks or issues, because these are conditions which are already pre-agreed between the parties, and based on which the benefits or the actions are taken. So we have built Bharat Blockchain Network from Intuitive Data Solutions, where if people are concerned about using foreign blockchain protocol, we have our own Bharat blockchain protocol to secure the identity of our own farmers, so that the data resides within the country and no foreign company has access to these data, and that way the farmers personal identifiable information is secured in terms of their land records or their crops or the details what they are growing. Future roadmap, large-scale blockchain network deployment, national agriculture ecosystem, linking smart contracts with AI and IoT predictive agri-insurance and dynamic pricing. Integration with global agri supply chains and export logistics, collaborative models between government, private sector, banks and insurance. Potential impact metrics, increased farmer income, better price stability and food safety improvements. So these are some of the benefits which you can attain from blockchain and smart contract, and we cannot ignore AI. AI and blockchain are going to be together in every implementation going forward, and we will see this in every enterprise or every department, every industry. This is going to be a way forward. So IDS has capabilities on blockchain and AI. We have products, a product called Trust Flow for end-to-end supply chain, which can be used for pharma, agriculture traceability, minerals, or any supply chain which you want to trace in a transparent manner. We also support digital product passport, the new upcoming regulation for UI for Indian exporters. We are also into digital identity and verifiable credentials for ensuring there are no counterfeit or fake or fraud instances. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enriching presentation. Today, we come to the conclusion of this program. I now declare the proceeding formally concluded. In this regard, I would like to request Shrimati Sheila Ganesh ma'am to deliver a word of thanks.
Thank you, Sam.
Yes.
Finally, we are here to conclude the two-day international webinar on legal governance and green technologies for sustainable agriculture. I profusely thank Professor Dr. Lokanath N.K., Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mysuru, and also Srimati M.K. Savita K.S., Registrar, University of Mysuru, for their support. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to the patrons, Professor Dr. M.S. Benjamin, Dean, Faculty of Law, Chairman, Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysuru, Professor K.S. Suresh, Chief Executive, JSS Law College, Mysuru, and Dr. Vasantakumar Timakapura, Managing Director and Chief Scientific Officer, Greenlife Croptech Private Limited, Mysuru, for their joint collaboration in organizing this international webinar. Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Joint Collaborative Initiative, I render sincere thanks to today's keynote speaker and the distinguished speakers for their informative and intellectual deliberation. I thank Professor Dr. Nicolas de Sadeleer, Professor Ordinaire, Full Professor, Chaire Jean Monnet, European Union, Brussels, Belgium, for addressing on the topic Environmental Law, Climate Policy, and Sustainable Food Systems. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. Vasantakumar Temmakapura, Managing Director and Chief Scientific Officer, Greenlife Croptech Private Limited, Mysuru, for addressing on the topic Farmers' Rights and Agricultural Justice, Science, Subsidy, and Sustainability in Indian Agriculture. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. S. Chandranayak, Professor and Officer in Charge, ICAR, Pearl Millet Pathology Laboratory, Department of Studies in Applied Botany and Biotechnology, University of Mysuru, for addressing on the topic Governance of Biotechnology, GMOs, and Eco-Friendly Practices from an Agri-Science Perspective. Thank you, sir. I also thank Dr. Deepak Gadge, Intuitive Data Solutions Private Limited, Hyderabad, for addressing on the topic Blockchain and Smart Contracts in Agricultural Supply Chain. Thank you, sir. I extend my sincere thanks to the organizing members, Dr. N. Vani Shree, Principal, JSS Law College, Mysuru. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Syed Qudrat Hashmi, PhD Research Scholar, Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysuru, for their efforts and support. Thank you. Further, I sincerely thank Dr. Harish, Greenlife Croptech Private Limited, for joining us with us today. Thank you, sir. I also heartily thank our student volunteers for being supportive for the 2 days international webinar. Thank you. And last but not the least, I extend my sincere thanks to all the participants from across the globe for their participation in the 2-day international webinar. Thank you, one and all.
Live sharing. Sharing now.
Take it.
Stop recording.